Hello, all my lovely angel friends. I'm going to take us on a little, it was guided. And it's a bit of a little journey. So I want you to just bear with me on this. If it doesn't feel like it's going to stick together, it will. I promise you. Okay, so to start, this is really about altar sessions. Okay, I want to get real specific on our altar sessions, and I'm going to take you on a little process that'll hopefully add some clarity to this. So again, this is mind training. And the reality is, and boy, I'm saying this so for myself, because I was very attached to my stories, very attached. Okay. And initially I didn't see anything wrong with that at all. And so I'm going to break it down in a little bit different way that I can share with you. Now I'm going to read some out of A Course in Miracles here, and this certainly applies to me at one time, because I was so attached to my stories. This is kind of the way I thought about it. And again, I'm going to remind you all, because we forget all the time, you're perfect. You're perfect. Okay. Now we live in a world of, what's the term that they use? Bettering yourself. Well, there's some classic term with that. Self-improvement. We're in a world of self-improvement. And I had a friend once come over to my house, and I had books. I had a lot of books at one time. And she said, my God, I've never seen anyone with so many self-improvement books. And she was right, completely. I had a whole wall of just diet for health books. And then there was another wall of emotional self-improvement. I mean, it was all about improving myself. But now A Course in Miracles is very clear with us. You're perfect. You just forgot you're perfect. So when we go on these all wackadoodle ways of how to improve perfection, we get confused. I was very confused. And this is, okay, so we're perfect. I'm going to read from A Course in Miracles on how we get stuck in chaos. Deny your identity. Okay, your identity is perfection. That's the truth of who you are. Deny your own identity, and this is what remains. Oh, this is so true for me. You look on chaos and proclaim it is yourself. There is no sight that fails to witness this to you. There is no sound that does not speak of frailty within you and without. No breath you draw that does not seem to bring you nearer to death. No hope you hold, but will dissolve in tears. And just for yourself, it's, I am the Holy Son of God himself. Okay. So now that's the way we think of ourselves before mind training. Okay. We're all, in different places with mind training. But when I was still studying A Course in Miracles, I very much was living this experience. I didn't see my innocence. I didn't see your innocence. I didn't love myself. I couldn't love you. I mean, I was in the midst of complete and utter chaos until I just said, fine, I'll take terminal cancer behind door number 1, and let's just be done with this nonsense. Okay. Okay. So now the altar sessions are to take these different threads that we still believe are true about self-improvement and place them on the altar to see them differently through the loving eyes of Holy Spirit. Because see, when we come into this world, we have no loving eyes. And, it just depends on your script of how bad it can get. But the reality is we don't like ourselves. And so that's why I had all these self-improvement books. I kept thinking if I could just get better at improving myself, I would be okay. But that's the horizontal world. Course in Miracles is not talking horizontal. It's talking in this moment of now going vertical. So the whole altar session is to take whatever thread that you see is still needing improvement, placing it on the altar, and then asking Holy Spirit to see it differently. And I say this only because, and I know this was true for me for a long time because I didn't trust God, even remotely. And it really doesn't matter, but it does matter when you first start doing this. Ask Holy Spirit to see it differently. Because if you don't ask Holy Spirit, nothing's going to change. I guarantee it. Nothing will change. It's only with assistance, and this is the whole atonement process. It's with this powerful assistance, the comforter that we all have, is to invite them in. Now, I'm going to read another little section from A Course in Miracles. And this is workbook lesson 168. Your grace is given me, I claim it now. Okay. God speaks to us. Shall we not speak to him? He is not distant. He makes no attempt to hide from us. However, we try to hide from him. And this is when we don't say these magic words, when we're placing something on the altar, we're actually not asking for help. We're still in our I know mind and trying to figure it out for ourselves. And this is all about developing trust. And I mean, this goes into so many different areas. But if we're still hiding from God, we place our story of how we need improvement on the altar, and then we don't ask for any help. Well, I guarantee without asking for help, nothing will change. God will just keep loving us, and we'll just be seeking more improvement because that's our ego brain is in charge. Okay? So we try to hide from him and suffer from deception that we need to be improved. He remains entirely accessible. He loves his son. There is no certainty but this. He will love his son forever. When his mind remains asleep, he loves him still. When his mind awakes, he loves him with a never-changing love. So here's the truth. God's going to love you, whether you awake or not. God is not attached. God just loves. So we have to do all these initial come to Jesus moments, really. We have to come to Jesus. Jesus just loves. Holy Spirit just loves. God just loves. But if we're not willing to really, with honesty, see like, yeah, I've been trying to improve this little part of me that doesn't seem perfect. And I feel like if I can read a gazillion books on it and highlight something will shift. Because we're still letting ego guide this path. And that is doomed. Doomed. It's a path that will lead you with as much suffering as possible to death. Now, the truth is, you can't die. And even if you think you are dying, you're not. But that's beside the point. That's a whole nother topic. Right now, it's really for this altar course. So when you're sharing your story, whatever is upsetting, oh, well, I'll just speak of last time session, noise. Okay. So if we have this whole story, the damn dryer and the inconsiderate people, and I say go into the story, get as much detail as possible. When you're in an altar session, go for it. The more specific you can share, the better off you're going to be. Because you're really telling one on yourself. And I want you to go into detail. But then at the end of the share, Holy Spirit or God or love or whatever you want to call it, help me see this differently through the eyes of love. Help me see this differently through the eyes of my perfection. Help me see this differently in the truth of who I am. See, we're all walking around like little zombies. Talk about zombies. We are. We are the zombie. We don't have to be fearful of those out there. We are. We just keep getting led around by this ego that takes us into these chaotic places and filled with self-deception of who we are. And then you can't hear me, Vera? I can't help you, Vera. It's not on my, can you all hear me? Okay. So anyway, I want this to be, and it's a practice, because remember, we're in mind training. That's the name of this course, mind training. We have gotten sloppy. We've just, we are sloppy. Talk about mind wandering. We just fall into the same old deceptions that we've been playing with forever, and we don't learn anything from it. And so this altar session is really a beautiful process to place these thoughts on the altar of love, to place these thoughts on our altar of perfection and innocence, to see them as perfection and innocence. Doesn't mean anything's going to shift or change. It just means we're going to be seeing it differently. Okay? So I wanted to clarify that, just because I've just been observing the altar sessions, and most people don't ask to see it differently at the end. They share. I want to put it on the altar. Okay. But why? And a part of it is our humility to put it on the altar and say, I'm not seeing this correctly. That's humility. I'm not seeing this correctly. And so I want to see it through the eyes of someone that is seeing truth in me at all times, that sees me as perfection at all times. So I want to see this differently through those eyes. Okay? Because without asking, nothing will change. God will love us awake or not, in the deepest sleep. Doesn't matter. God just loves. But once we start getting into the habit, and this habit of seeing things differently, then it becomes even more imperative when I'm talking to God to ask for help. I'm not just stating, God, I'm miserable. I'm just miserable. I'm really miserable. That's the story. That's the deception that we're telling ourselves. And this doesn't even need to be an official altar session. In your prayers, if you get stuck in the story and you're not asking for help, or if you're writing in a journal and you're not asking for help, you are trapped in your story. And that's where nothing will change. And then people get, upset that nothing's happening, and then they decide to find the next shiny, sparkling thing to move into. And so what I'm asking you here is to really step this up, okay? And it's not about not sharing, because I really want you to share. There's miracles in this sharing process. Okay? So, I think Vera is having a real difficult day today. Okay, Bali, thank you for sharing that with her. Okay, so we're going to end this a little shorter today. And if you have questions, any questions at any time, please ask them. I'll be more than happy. Again, my guidance is to mute myself. But this is, I had this thought the other day. It's kind of like, God, unless someone asks me, I'm not going to get involved in it. That's my lesson, my takeaway right now in the moment. And so right now, and I invite you, I know some of you have a hard time sharing. This is where miracles are made, because you're taking this through this mind training process and asking humbly for assistance. And it's not about making you wrong. It's about you have been making yourself wrong. And it's about time you saw it through the eyes of love and truth. Okay? So with that, we're going to say goodbye all to our YouTubers. We don't record the altar sessions. You'll have to join for that process. So with that, bye-bye, YouTube.